Hello, this is the RPG Crawler, and welcome to another Indie Game Friday, where each week I take a look at a different independent computer role-playing game. This week I'm taking a look at a 2D action Metroidvania with RPG elements, so you know if that's not your thing, feel free to bail out now and check in next week. It's also one that I've meant to review for a long time, but which has been sitting on my back burner for random reasons. Developed by OTK Games and published by Sakura Game, The Vagrant was released on Steam on July of 2018. The Vagrant is primarily a 2D action Metroidvania with a number of RPG systems in it. There's an equipment system with upgrades and enchantments, skills to learn, and an ability tree system that allows for upgrades of the basic stats, attack unlocks, and upgrades, and more. So yeah, more a 2D action game than an RPG, but with stronger RPG elements than some RPGs I've covered. So yeah, I'll cover it. Yeah, I know I'm going to get some flack for that. In terms of plot, you play as Vivian, a sellsword with the powers of a rune warden, mage hunters who can channel magic through their blades. She is set out to the land of Mithrila to search for the truth about her father's research, when a storm sinks her ship. She awakens on shore with nothing but her blade and must travel through the land, facing an increasingly complex web of plots to get to the opposite end of Mithrila where she was initially bound. It is best played with a controller, and it consists of 2D hacking and slashing across side-scrolling screens. You can move left or right, jump, do strong or weak attacks, execute skills, and dodge to the other side of enemies. As you progress through the game, you can unlock different skills, equipping up to 4 of them into button combinations within the skill system. You can also access a quick-use potion, as well as execute other combos upgraded through the ability system. Killing enemies may drop various items, including money, valuables, consumable potions and food, crafting material, and mana crystals, which are used as a sort of expendable experience system. Vivian has a number of stats as well, which may be improved through ability unlocks or through gear. There's the classic hit points that show how close to death she is, rage, which is used for skills and builds up during combat, attack that determines the damage that you do, defense that reduces the damage you take, crit chance that governs, well, critical chance, and luck. There's also gold, which can be used to buy gear, food, materials, as well as to open up challenge rifts, and then mana, which is used to unlock abilities, effectively being the level up system of the Vagrant. She may equip 1 weapon, 1 set of armor, an accessory, and a quick slot potion, as well as up to 4 activatable skills. As far as gear goes, there's items and equipment. Items can be consumables that can be used to regain hit points or for other purposes, or be used as ingredients to craft meals. Meals give a permanent bonus, although you can only have 1 such bonus active at any one time, and when you have your next meal, it's replaced. There's runestones that can be slotted into open slots and equipment through the enchant function, and grant a bonus based on the runestone in question. For weapons, each one has a rank, an attack rating, and up to 4 slots. Some weapons may have elemental damage of a particular sort as well. Each weapon can be enhanced, which costs mana and increases the rank as well as the damage. Each enhancement level may also unlock an additional rune slot. Weapons may also be enchanted, which simply allows one to equip a rune into a slot. Armor works in a similar manner, although it has a defense rating that's improved rather than an attack rating. In terms of abilities, you have a set of spiraling ability trees cut out from a center point. Each one requires increasing amounts of mana to unlock each level beyond, and some may have multiple levels on each individual perk to upgrade. One must follow the tree from node to node to unlock further abilities, and some may actually require you to find certain items within the world or to know certain skills in order to take them. The abilities unlocked here can be additional attack combos, passive abilities, bonuses to special attacks you already know, or even flat attribute bonuses, such as additional hit points or attack rating. As far as gameplay goes, the world is laid out as a series of 2D areas linked through either the sides or through doorways or paths midway across. If you've played any other Metroidvania, this should be fairly straightforward to navigate. There are save points that allow you to save the game, and some areas have a fast travel stone that you can use to travel between stones that you've visited. In these areas, you can find objects in the background that you can smash for items, chests that may take a few attacks to open for even more items, as well as wandering enemies. Some areas essentially lock you into an area and require you to face enemies or waves of enemies before you are allowed to proceed. There are the occasional boss areas, with the bosses having their own health bar and special attacks. A lot of them seem pretty scripted. During exploration, you will also encounter NPCs to talk to, as well as stores such as restaurants, weaponsmiths, alchemists, and more. Weaponsmiths and alchemists are fairly straightforward, selling gear and consumables that you can use, while restaurants allow you to purchase a meal, which gives you the aforementioned buff that remains until you eat another meal. Once you've had a meal, however, the recipe is added to your character, which can allow you to cook it up for yourself at camp, at least if you have the right ingredients. In terms of art and music, the Vagrant is actually surprisingly good, at least in the graphics department. It has a peculiar art style that may appeal to some more than others. It reminded me, for instance, of the old Odd and Sphere games to a certain degree, with similar sorts of character art and backgrounds. The world is pretty lush in that regard, as well as colorful, and I was honestly rather impressed by it. The sound effects and the music are, well, they're passable, all things considered. I didn't feel like shutting the music off, although I didn't necessarily find it that great. I found the exploration about on par of what I expect from other Metroidvanias. In essence, it does require a little bit of too much backtracking, at least for my taste. The mapping can also take some getting used to as well, especially regarding taking side paths, as it can be a little bit unclear where they lead to unless you're referring to the built-in map almost constantly. As for the combat, I'm not the greatest at these sorts of combo-driven brawler games, but I found that just upping my base attack and button mashing did just fine, at least for the start of the game, although bosses did require a little bit more finesse. I understand that the monsters do get rougher and rougher as you go on, and there can be certain combinations of monsters that can effectively stun lock you if you're not careful, so you need to be aware of that. Now, if you're decent at 2D Castlevania/Metroid style games, you'll probably find that about par for the course. All I can say is that a controller is almost required. I tried it with a keyboard and mouse, and I found it almost nightmarish to try to play. So how did I find the Vagrant overall? Well, I thought it had lush artwork. I really adored that. It had solid enough music, and it had a decent bit of exploration mechanics, although the overall mapping system reminded me of why I never actually finished Odd and Sphere in that regard, and the level design is sort of lackluster. The equipment system is pretty generic as well, about what I'd expect from any RPG light, while the ability upgrade system reminded me of some various JRPGs, another genre I'm not a huge fan of, but it was decent all in all. I can see where it can contribute to customization for different playstyles as well. I will admit that, while fine enough for a Metroidvania RPG light, the ability system did leave me feeling it was a little bit simplistic, despite the customization potential, and I would have really liked to see more complex tree layouts. Aside from that, the game is surprisingly well polished at this point in time, at least, and a number of initial bugs have been worked out by now. I'd only really recommend it if you really enjoy the Metroidvanias, but if you do, it's a decent enough choice, and the price is low enough that my usual get this on sale barely qualifies. I mean, sure, if you can find it on sale, then so much the better, but it's just a few bucks to begin with, so there is that. I've always had a bit of a problem deciding whether these sorts of Metroidvania-style games are actually RPGs or not. Generally speaking, no, but with the amount of stuff that passes in an RPG nowadays, if it's got a stat advancement system, it's got a skill system, it's got an equipment system, it's got a decent storyline, it's got exploration, I figure I may as well qualify some of them as RPGs, although I will probably only cover them from time to time. Anyway, on that note, I'm going to wrap it up here. This has been the RPG Crawler with Indie Game Friday, The Vagrant. As always, I'll put a link to where you can pick it up below. If you like what you've seen, remember to leave a like, comment if you got any feedback, and subscribe for more RPG content, both tabletop and computer. Until next time, take care and goodbye. And if you're still watching this far, I'd like to take a moment to thank those who have supported this channel via Patreon or direct donations throughout the years, without which this channel could not have lasted as long as it has. For those who are feeling particularly generous, you can still support my work through Patreon and now through Subscribestar as well, through the links in the description below.